Bibles with you tonight, I'd like to turn with me to the book of Mark in chapter number 4. Mark in chapter number 4. That song said, "I'm never forsaken, I'm never alone." Kind of the theme of my message, and I know often sometimes it seems like that's all I feel like I preach anymore. It's a message about never being alone, but as Christians, that's the how do I put it? That's the privilege we have. That's the gift God gave us. It's Himself. Never be alone, never be forsaken. In Mark chapter number 4, there's a story here of, I believe I preached on this before, as a matter of fact. There's a story of Jesus crossing I believe it's the Galilean Sea, but I'm not sure on that. But anyway, crossing across the water, I'll put it that way. And just as many times in at least my life, I look forward to sometimes, like even going to work, I look forward to getting to work and starting work, but sometimes it's getting there that can be an enjoyment too. Listening to the radio, just kind of being quiet, stuff like that. Having just a little moment of peace to myself, right, in the morning. Especially if I work mornings. Like I was telling last week, I've been, last few days I've worked some mornings and stuff like that, and if you guys know anything about me, I'm not a morning person. I do not like mornings. As I said before, do not call me before 8 o'clock. I will not talk to you. I will not think about you, because the thing is, I am not a morning person. I like working nights. I like doing stuff at night, but as far as mornings go, that is not just my piece of pie right there. So in the mornings, working mornings, we going to work and stuff like that, it's kind of getting there has been the better part of the day than actually working there. So once you get to work, you got to work in the mornings, and like I said, I don't like the mornings. But in the same way here, Jesus is getting to the other side with some of his disciples here. And after they get to the other side, goes the story of the maniac of Gadara, and how that whole story, how he cast out the demons into the swine and different things like that. And there's that great miracle that happened on the other side, but he was getting there where something big happens too. At least me, sometimes I focus on it, and I don't hope you take this the wrong way, the more, I'm going to use these terms, the more popular miracles, the ones we kind of, we know right off. But oftentimes it's the little ones right in between there, like here, Jesus getting there, that can be even more important than the main event there. And I don't mean that one is more important than the other, but I'm just saying that we always got to look at the little details in the middle, right? Mark chapter number 4 and verse number 35, if you would. It says, "And the same day when the even was come, he said unto them, Let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat to the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow, and they awake him, and saying to him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? It says in verse 41, it says, And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? No greater words could be said. What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Amen. Here's the funny thing. He wasn't man. He lived fully man and fully God. But he was really, behind the scenes, he was really in disguise. What he really was the Son of God, all-powerful, omnipotent, Amen. And everything they needed. But oftentimes, and this is what amazes me, if you read in the chapter, or not the chapter, but the verses before this, he talks a lot about faith, and he talks in the story of the mustard seed, the parable of the mustard seeds right before this. So he's just got through talking about faith, and how I won't paraphrase it, but if you have just faith the size of the grain of a mustard seed, that gets you to move mountains, right? And he talks about just a little bit of faith will get you a long way. And so when he talks to him in verse number 35, he says, Let us pass over to the other side. And as you know, the story we just read, they get scared, and they have a right to be scared, right? At least it would seem that way. Their boat is sinking. They are in trouble. But with all this, the parable of Jesus just told about faith, that is the real theme of the story right here. It's not necessarily about their fear, and it's not about the miracle that Jesus did so much, as it is about the theme behind the miracle, the reason he had them there in that storm. Now, I believe that in the story that Jesus, I believe that this was not by coincidence that a storm hit. I'll put it that way. Like I said, I don't believe anything happens by coincidence, and I believe that very well with the weather, because I believe God is in control of the weather and things that happen weather-wise. And so I believe when they when they got themselves into this storm, this was no accident that it happened. And it was definitely no accident that it happened this way. But if you notice, if I could tonight, I'd like to talk a little bit about that phrase he said in there. He said, "Carest thou not that we perish?" Something that should never come to our minds, questioning God, why is this happening to me? But I'm sure, and like I said, I've been through times in my life, and many of you have been through many more times than I've ever had, where it seems like you're alone, right? Where it seems like things are not going your way, and things are not necessarily too peaceful for you, I'll put it that way. And you're kind of in that so-called storm of your life, right? It's not, and you're not having a good time. You're not on the mountain, you're down in the valley, and you're just in that place of what seems to be destruction all around you. See, it doesn't just say they were in the storm here, but it says that the storm was so bad that their ship was full of water. It says that the wind and the waves beat into the ship so that it was now full. This is not just the wind blowing and the rain sprinkling a little bit. This is a full-on storm. We're going down with the ship. It's not a peaceful time for these people right here. But here's the thing that was different than the other boats that were around them. Here's what was different was they had somebody else in their boat that took care of the storms, right? And it wasn't the fact that necessarily that they had something to do with it. There was nothing they could do about this. I believe that they did everything they could. Any knowledgeable person, any sensible person, if your boat's getting water in it, you're going to try to get the water out, right? But here in this story, just like and that reminds me of the story of Paul in the Iraq done. If you remember in Acts 27, as we read a few times here before. Remember in the story that they were on different watches of the night, and they lightened the load, and they did this and that, but it still didn't get them out of the storm, no matter what they did. So many times the storms of your life and the problems that you go through are out of your control. There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to make it better. There's nothing you can do to help you out a little bit. Nothing you can do to add a little peace. And it just seems like you're stuck in the middle of the storm and your boat's sinking, right? It seems like you're going down with the ship. Now, like I said, I've not been there too many times, but I've been there. I know what it's like to not to feel sorrow and to feel like you're just alone. One of the worst feelings in the world is feeling like you're alone. So many times it seems like Jesus is so far away. And maybe in those times, I wonder, do we ever ask that question? Master, carest thou not that we perish? Do you even care about me, God? Do you even hear what I'm saying, God? Are you even listening to me? Do you even care? Like I said, that should never be a mentality that we ever get, but oftentimes it is. Oftentimes, like I said, I preach in different churches and stuff. I've got to pray with a lot of people. Got to hear a lot of people's problems. Got to pray for them. And I'm not complaining by any means. Don't take that the wrong way. But I've heard a lot of people go through a lot of things, and I pray with people on a lot of different issues. And so many times that's the thought that pops up. I just wonder where God's at right now. I wonder when it's going to get better. I know it's going to get better. I've heard people say, I know it's going to get better. But when is it going to get better? When's that time coming when the peace comes? When that peace comes in the storm, right? When is that time going to come? And there you are. You're asking that question. Master, do you even care what's happening? Do you even care, Jesus, what's going on with us? But can I say, first of all, that they had a different situation going on. Yeah, they were in the middle of the storm, but if you notice it says, and then in verse number 36, there were also with him other little ships. I mean, there were other people around there. But the difference was, in their boat, they had Jesus Christ, the Son of God. And in any way you look at it, no matter what they would have done, there was nothing to do about this storm. Like I said, I imagine they would have tried everything they could to keep their boat from sinking, but everything just seems to be going wrong for them, right? Their boat's full of water now. And they go down, and what is Jesus doing? He's sleeping. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm needing help from somebody, and I know they can fix the problem, the last thing I want to see them doing is sleeping through the whole thing. And I got to thinking, I was reading this, I thought about, everyone, at least everyone knows in this room at least one person that's a heavy sleeper. I think Jesus takes the cake for being a heavy sleeper. I mean, he's sleeping through the storm, and here the disciples going, do you even care what's going on? Do you know what's going on there? Do you even care? But first of all, can we remember when times come like this, when the boat starts sinking, remember who's in your boat with you. You don't just have Jesus, Son of Man, but you have all of the above, as we've talked talk this week. You've got, he's a God of war, right? We've mentioned that this week. Preached that last Sunday, and we studied the lesson this morning. That he's not just a peaceful person, but he also goes to fight for us, right? We've talked about how God, even before we talked about how he's a God of comfort, he's a God of hope, and a God of this and that. And what I'm trying to say is he's not just one thing, but he's many things. And one of the greatest people he is, one of the greatest things he can do is just be there. See, like I said, one of the worst feelings is feeling lonely, feeling like you're all by yourself. I got to watching the last few weeks. I found online this interview sessions or whatever with these veterans and stuff. And they asked him what was the worst part about war and stuff like that. And then a lot of them, you know what they said? It was the feeling of being by yourself. Like if something went wrong, there was nobody out there to help you. A lot of them said that was the worst part of being out in foreign land or whatever it was just the feeling of being alone. And so that feeling is, it can be a very hard feeling because when you're alone, you feel like there's nobody out there to help you. Maybe nobody out there that cares about you. But if you're saved here tonight, you have somebody that's in the boat with you. He's not far away, and he knows what's going on. Even if you think he's far away, he knows exactly what's going on in your life. You know, we talk about how he'll never leave us nor forsake us. But do we really believe that? Do we really grasp that thought? Do we really have faith in him? The real theme of this right here, he gets done talking about faith, he gets in the boat, and the first thing he says after he calms the winds and the seas and all that, he says this, he says in verse number 4, he says, "Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith?" You know what I got from that? It wasn't a punishment upon the disciples. It wasn't, hey, you didn't listen to me, so you're going to go through this storm. It was not some kind of punishment, but rather it was a lesson to these disciples. It was a test to the disciples. Can I say that we should not only remember who's in our boat with us, but we can also remember the reason for being in the storm? It's not always because something you did. So when you go through something hard and things aren't going your way, don't think, first of all, when those times come, don't think, well, what have I done now? You know, what have I done to deserve this? What, you know, and you start examining life, you're going, well, I'm sorry for this, or, well, maybe it was this that I did. And you start looking at yourself, it's not always something you did. And I can say, oh, it's almost never something that you did when things go wrong in your life. Now, I'm not saying that it can't, I'm not saying it's possible, but hear what I am saying. I'm saying that everything that happens in your life that's bad, everything that happens in your life where you lose somebody, where you're going through problems in your life, where you're having problems with your family, with your finances, you name it, it's not always because of something you did or something you didn't do. Sometimes it's just because God wants to test your faith. Sometimes it's just because God wants to see how much you really love Him. God wants to see what you're going to do when those times come. You know, we're told to think it not strange concerning the fiery trials and things like that, right? We're told to think it that when problems come away and persecution comes away, we're supposed to think it not strange. I can't remember where it's at, but I remember reading somewhere in the Bible where it said something to this effect that if we follow God or if we love God, then the world's going to hate us, right? We know that without a doubt. That if we love Jesus Christ, the world will hate us. We will be persecuted. We will have problems. And we will go through hard things in our life that aren't necessarily persecution. We'll go through those trials, through those tests, through those storms. But not only can we remember who's in the boat, but we can also remember the reason for us being there. Jesus Christ, like I said, there's nothing we will ever go through that Jesus Christ doesn't already know about. There's nothing we can go through that Jesus Christ doesn't have control of. Remember that too. No storm in your life, no problem you have, is there anything that God does not have control of. God is all-powerful. But not only that, did you notice? Verse number, let's see, 39, let's start at 39. It says, "And he rose and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm." But you can also remember that in the event that things go horribly wrong, not only remember who's in the boat and the reason for you being there, but also remember that if things go bad, He can take control of them real quick. He can change your situation in no time flat. And He said unto them, "Why are you so fearful? How is it that you have no faith?" Why are you so fearful? First thing He said after He calmed the storm, why are you so fearful? What does the Bible say? God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of a sound mind, right? God hath not given us a spirit of fear, but of power of love and of a sound mind. Think about that. The fear that we have is not something God's given us. It's not something that God said, hey, this is what I'm giving you. And think about that. Those things that they were going through, that was, how do I put this? That was not punishment from God. He was not giving it to them just to have them fear, have them be afraid, and to punish them and make them go through something hard. But like what that verse says, God might give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of a sound mind. In other words, can I put it this way? After you get saved, you can have faith and trust in somebody who's got control of the situation. That's what that verse 1 means when it says He's given us a spirit God's going to give us a spirit of fear, but of love, of power, and of sound mind, right? Sound mind, love, and power. You know why? All because if you place your faith in Jesus Christ. I'm not going to say you're not going to have no problems and the storm's going to be taken away, but you will have one thing that the world does not: true comfort. True peace, true comfort. Those things only come from a love for Jesus Christ. Uncertainty, doubt, fear comes from being out in the world on your own. But love, that sound mind, power, comfort, comes from love in Jesus Christ. You know, we always sing that song, "Greater is He that is in me." And I've said that verse many times here before, that verse that says, you know, all things work together for the good of those that love Him, right? All of our situations are not against us, but they're everything that we go through in this life is building us to be a better Christian, have more faith in Him every time we go through it. That is, if you turn your eyes toward Him. You can look at a bad situation and you can go, woe is me, and that's all it's going to be, is a stumbling block. It's only going to trip you out, and it may even take your faith away from Jesus Christ, as it does with many people when you go through something bad. But if you turn your eyes toward Him and trust in Him and have faith in Him, I can promise you without a doubt, without any doubt in my mind, that if you turn your eyes on Jesus Christ when things go bad, then when you come out of it, you may be scarred, you may have a few scars here and there, but you will be a better Christian by the end of it. I can promise you that the things you go through in this life, if you turn your eyes on Jesus Christ, you have faith in Him, and you love Him, and you say, you know what, no matter what happens, I'm going to always trust in Him. I can promise you from first-hand experience that you will come out a better person. A better Christian, more importantly, if you just turn your eyes on Him. And they feared exceedingly and said one to another, what manner of man is this that even the wind and the sea obey Him? I got to reading over in Luke 2, said something very similar. And it's the story of, you know, if you remember Mary and Martha, I think we read it back in our Wednesday night lesson. Mary and Martha and Jesus, let me refresh myself real quick. He says in Luke chapter 10, verse 40, he says, but Martha was comforted about much serving kingdom and said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone, but therefore that she help me? Story of Jesus entering into a certain village, and Martha received him, and basically, I'm going to put it this way, kind of hosted a little dinner party here. And it talks about how she had a sister that sat at Jesus' feet and heard the word. And so you got one sitting on the floor listening to Jesus, you got one in the kitchen serving, right? And at first he said, Lord, dost thou not care that my sister hath left me to serve alone? There's another example of feeling alone, right? Sometimes do we not only feel alone in service, do we not only feel alone in the storm, but we can also feel alone in our service to Jesus Christ, thinking, Lord, is it only me doing this? How many times, and I want to say I'm guilty of this before, I've been guilty of this before, thinking, am I the only one out there trying to do things for God? Am I the only one, right? And I know it's one of the worst thoughts to think, right? To think, well, can anybody do anything else, right? Didn't get through that before. But you're never alone. You are never alone. Don't start thinking that you're alone, because you are not. We read Wednesday night lesson about the sheep, right? And apparently a cow too, but we didn't know that, Brother Tony. But we've been reading about the sheep in Wednesday night lesson stuff, and how the good shepherd, right? We've been reading about that good shepherd. It says he knows his sheep. His sheep know his voice, right? Not only does he know his sheep, but he knows his sheep by name. Think about that. He loves you so much that not only is he never going to leave you, but he knows you by your name. He knows that we also know he knows the hairs of our head, right? He knows all the small little details that not even we ourselves know. I don't know how many hairs got on my head. You know, some of you might know a little bit better if you ain't got that account. But I don't know the number of hairs on my head. I don't know that about me, but He knows that about me. And at least this is my view. I'm going to tell you, this is not in the Bible. This is my personal view of it. If God knows the hairs on my head, I think that He knows enough about me to take care of me. If the Bible says He knows the count of hairs on my head, and He knows the exact number of hairs on my head, and He knows me by my name, and all the rest of that, if He knows all about me, all the fine little details, then I think He knows enough to take care of me. And if somebody knows that much about me, then I'm sure enough going to trust them. If they know that much about me, I'm going to trust them enough. I'm going to trust Him enough to take care of me for the rest of my life. Would you stand here today? Don't want to give that next up today. So there in the middle of the storm, not only should we remember who's in the boat with us and remember the reason for us being there, but also remember He's able to take control of the situation if things go wrong. He's already in control of your situations. He already knows all about you. He knows all about your problems. And so here's the thing. Here's the last thought I want to leave you with. Those issues you have in your life and the things you might be going through tonight. You are not alone. You are not by yourself in this. All you have to do is call out to Him. All you have to do is talk to Him. He's given me that privilege and that ability to cry out to Him and to pray to Him. So take advantage of it.